Hello and welcome to our podcast, tentatively called My Thing, Your Thing, which the first inaugural episode that we're doing is going to be about the James Bond movies, specifically the very first James Bond movie, because, hello, my name is Hannah, and I have never in my 35 years on this planet seen a James Bond movie.
And my name is Donovan, and I have seen every single one of them, a lot of them in the theater, and it's just been a thing since I was a kid. My dad and I have been huge fans.
See, I thought it was a thing since I was a kid that I haven't seen one, because I was raised by several hippie progressive people, and I thought that like it was a deliberate choice that my parents had made, that they didn't show us Bond movies because of James Bond and his terrible treatment of women. And then at one point I like brought up to my dad that the only cultural touchstone that I have for Sean Connery is Zardoz. If you don't know what Zardoz is, I desperately need you to Google it and just go to the image and then see the red codpiece, the bandoliers, all of it.
The big floating head.
So that's what I know Sean Connery from, that and The Highlander. So I brought that up to my dad one time, that was my cultural touchstone. He was like, "What, you've never seen a James Bond movie?" And I'm like, "No, Dad, I've never seen a James Bond movie. That wasn't you."
Yeah,
and he was like, "Nope."
Weren't you the one who didn't want? Yeah, no.
Apparently just a massive cultural oversight on his part. I have seen Lady Hawk like 3 times though.
Yeah, I remember being 10 years old and my dad taking me to Die Another Day, and my mom being kind of mad at him, and him being like, "What? No, it's..." See, my parents were also progressive, but they were theater and movie people.
Right,
so
yeah.
It was like much more of a thing.
Which Bond was Die Another Day?
That was Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, okay,
yes.
yeah, that makes sense.
The only Bond who I have ever met in person.
Right.
But that's a story for another day.
For another podcast when we get to the Brosnan movies.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while. You know,
we're gonna be here for a hot minute because we're starting way back at the beginning. Who is the first Bond that we start with?
What do you mean?
Like the first Bond movie, who plays James Bond?
Oh, it's Sean Connery.
Oh, yeah. It is Sean Connery. We start with Sean. How many movies does Sean Connery do?
He did, well, that's kind of a bit of the thing about.
Oh yeah, because they're like unlicensed, not technically Bond movies, but like kind of still Bond movies.
He did one of those, yes. He did Dr. No, he did From Russia with Love, he did Goldfinger, he did Thunderball, he did You Only Live Twice, he did Diamonds Are Forever, that was 6 official ones.
Jeez and Pete's.
And then he did Never Say Never Again, which was the like bootleg one. So 6, 7...
6 with an asterisk.
Yeah. I thought we would maybe start with just a brief bit on the character of James Bond, where that comes from.
Ian Fleming wrote those books, yeah?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So Ian Fleming, interesting guy, very interesting life. Born in London in 1908. His dad was a member of parliament, kind of a big deal guy. Dad died in World War I, so when he was like a little child.
Like fighting in World War I?
Yeah, he was fighting in World War I.
It didn't just happen to be World War I and then he died of unrelated
cricket
accidents or whatever.
No, this is not an episode of Downton Abbey. No, and Winston Churchill actually wrote his obituary.
Damn, yeah. Nice.
So kind of a big deal. Speaking of big deals, when Ian Fleming was old enough, he went to Eton College for his, education. Eton College, spelled E-T-O-N. Do you want me to list off some names of some people who went to Eton College?
Well, I mean, it's like one of the big ones in England, so I imagine like everybody who didn't go to Oxford went to Eton, right?
No. So I think Eton College, it's not a university.
Oh, so like kind of the equivalent of like a private high school, sort of like a boarding school kind of situation.
Yes, exactly, like a boarding school. Here are some famous people who went to Eton College, what they called Old Etonians. So there's Sir Robert Walpole, for fans of extra history, Henry Fielding, Arthur Wellesley, that's the Duke of Wellington, the guy who beat Napoleon, John Maynard Keynes, the father of Keynesian economics, Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley's husband.
Oh yeah, the guy who died and then she kept his calcified heart in her desk.
That's correct. That's fucked up, but correct. George Orwell and Aldous Huxley.
Damn.
Both of them. That was great. And then in more modern years, you got David Cameron and Boris Johnson, conservative prime ministers.
Equally important people.
Yeah, very much. Prince William and Prince Harry.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
And then Tom Hiddleston, Hugh Laurie, Damian Lewis, Eddie Redmayne, and Bear fucking Grylls.
Sorry. Just you have such like a for someone like Bear Grylls, you have such like a calcified image in your mind of like who he is as an adult, and then you picture him as a teenager in like a very prestigious British finishing school, and like I can only imagine him with like his uniform all like torn up and like half of it draped over his head to protect him from the sun, and, like covered in dirt and just ranting about how to get water out of I don't
like zebras,
or
something. Like dead zebras. Yeah, no, absolutely. By the way, we've said calcified twice so far. This is a high class podcast right here.
I said it, and then as I was continuing that sentence, I was like, I should have said something else.
Don't worry about it. He was not particularly highly academically achieving, but he was a sportsman. He was very athletic, and he was popular. People liked him.
Sure.
Did a bunch of stuff. The main thing is later on he fought in World War II.
Right.
He and all three of his brothers did. Because he had three brothers.
Did they all survive?
One of them did not, unfortunately.
Okay.
But the other two did, including...
Never mind. I'm going to keep that thought to myself.
Oh, Hannah, it's a podcast. I can always edit it out.
Just, 3 out of 4. That's not bad odds.
Yeah, considering how bad things were at the time, I think you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. In World War II, Fleming did a lot of cool stuff, and I do think that a part of the reason why the James Bond character kind of caught on as a thing is that Ian Fleming was the real deal. Like, he was naval intelligence. He founded a group of commandos who captured intelligence near the front lines.
Damn.
He helped plan an operation, which actually never went through, but the operation name to James Bond fans might sound familiar. It was called Operation GoldenEye.
Ah.
Yeah.
See, I've never seen a James Bond movie, but I know, like, a fair amount of them just through cultural osmosis.
Yes.
And, like, the references that are made in other things, mostly the Venture Bros cartoon series, which if you have not watched, please do. It's so good.
Yeah. Venture Brothers, Simpsons, just tons of stuff.
Yeah.
After the war, he became a journalist, and he actually worked for, I believe, the Sunday Times. He oversaw their like worldwide like reporter network. So he was like an international reporter.
You really could just do anything back then. Like
Well, he was the son of like a really important guy.
Yeah.
He had lots of money.
Yeah.
He was well educated. Like he was a world traveler.
Chomping at the goddamn bit to get this man on their newspaper writing for them. Fuck your work history. Come work for us. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, you don't need a reference. So
it's 1940 whatever.
So during the war, Fleming had gone to some of the people that he knew as friends, and he had said that he wanted to write a spy novel. He thought that would be a fun thing to do.
Sure.
A few years after that, he said, "Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna write this book." And so he was kind of living between England and Jamaica at the time.
Two extremely different places.
Jamaica was part of the British Empire at the time.
But still, like,
I know.
Climately, two extremely different places.
That's why he liked it there. He was a big fan of the Caribbean air.
Why would he go back?
Because he had to. He was there 3 months of the year. He named his house GoldenEye. Yes, he really liked that name.
Okay.
And he spent a lot of time there. Speaking of being from the Caribbean and like, living in that area, he named the character James Bond after an ornithologist who was an American ornithologist named James Bond, and he wrote books about Caribbean birds. And because he basically thought of James Bond as being sort of a boring character that interesting stuff happened to, and so having this like basic ass Anglo-Saxon name like James Bond was like perfect for his character.
That's kind of fascinating, especially with how the shift has been that it was supposed to be like a pretty boring name, which, if you were a spy, then you would want to have an unassuming name so you can kind of just like get through shit.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, James Bond, that's like the coolest. Like, no one can name there's like, if your last name is Bond, you can't name a kid James because the people are going to be like, oh, you're a huge fan. And like now it's like Bond, James Bond. Like it's like cool.
Yeah, he sort of developed the character. He based it a lot on the other soldiers that he knew, that he served with, a lot of spy types, a lot of officers and stuff. He also based a lot of it on his older brother Peter, who he thought was cool. He also based certain things off of himself, namely a lot of Bond's vices seem to be based on Ian Fleming.
Sure.
Ian Fleming was a drinker and a smoker and a womanizer.
And perhaps not the most enlightened views on other races.
You're not wrong, but one thing that I think is interesting about James Bond, the series, is that, okay, it is obviously coming from the like British imperial, like we're in charge of the world, and obviously it's during the Cold War, so some of that's a little bit different. It's sort of this like dying empire sort of thing. It's actually something that is like a recurring theme over all the movies. But one of the things that I think the movies did, at least to a certain extent, try to do is they tried to like make the locals in most of the places feel like real people. Now they do give into some really harmful stereotypes, and we'll get to them.
Huzzah.
But in general, I think that James Bond movies, like, I don't ever feel like they resorted to the worst possible things that they could have. They're not progressive by any means. God, no. But like, there's a reason why people can still watch old James Bond movies now. And there are other movies from those times that you can absolutely not watch without just cringing really bad.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyway, so Fleming wrote this book called Casino Royale.
Is that the first movie too?
No, it was not the first movie, but it was the first book. Handed it to a bunch of his friends. A lot of them were writers. He was a journalist. His older brother was an author. He had written some books. And so he handed it around to some of his friends, including a friend named William Plomer, who was another author. And William Plomer read it and said, quote, "So far as I can see, the element of suspense is completely absent." End
Ooh,
quote.
Burn.
Basically, nobody really thought it was that good. At least the drafts. Like, everyone just kind of thought it was not that great.
Well, yeah, I mean, like your first run at a thing. Like, that's why you write drafts.
Yeah, but because his brother was an author, he had like an in with the publisher, Jonathan Cape. And so his brother was like, "Come on, publish it." And they're like, "Okay." And then it turned out to be a huge success. And it sold like millions of copies, and everyone loved it. So, what do writers know?
Given some of the course that we have for other episodes, like people saying, "Hey, this isn't really that great," and then the public fucking loving it. Like, I feel like that's going to be a recurring theme.
A little bit, actually. Yeah, we'll get to that. But
we'll get to it many times over.
He ended up writing 12 James Bond novels, all fairly successful. He wrote 2 collections of short stories, as well as 4 other books, including a very famous children's book. Do you know what the children's book is?
Good Night Moon.
No.
What?
No.
Well, the first thing I thought was The Giving Tree, and I was like, nah, that's Shel Silverstein. I can't let my boy Shel down.
He wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wait, the one that got turned into the...
Yeah.
Wow. I have that. I have that DVD.
Hey, there you go.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Well, we'll watch that too.
I'm super sorry, but the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang theme song is going to be stuck in my head now. And so I'm going to have to like super restrain myself from singing that.
I mean, you never have in the past.
It's true.
So the first movie, Dr. No, was not the first book that he wrote.
No, it was Casino Royale, you just said.
Yeah.
I remembered. Gold star for me.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Sure. I love you. It was actually like the 6th book that he wrote. But the first few books, I guess that at the time they didn't necessarily think that those would be the best options. They wanted something that was more recent because the first movie came out in 1962 and they were filming it in like 1961. So they wanted something that had just come out. They didn't want to like go back 7 or 8 years.
Sure, yeah.
So they wanted to do something more recent. Dr. No came out in 1958. By the way, I'm talking about the books because they're important to the story. I have not actually read any of the books except for the first one, which is just okay. So this is about the movies, not the books. To anyone who's going to be mad about that we're not reading the books, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. This isn't the podcast for you.
I don't have a whole lot of interest in reading spy novels from the 50s and 60s. It's just kind of not my genre.
Totally.
No hate to you if it's yours.
Totally understandable. But essentially the script was initially, well, not the script, but the book was initially supposed to be kind of an idea for a friend of Ian Fleming's who worked for the Jamaican tourism industry. He was like, hey, write one of your books here in Jamaica, and it'll be like a TV special or something like that. Like write a TV special for here in Jamaica. And he was like, okay, sure. And it didn't end up working out, so he just wrote it into a book and released it. That was kind of what ended up being the book Dr. No. In the late 50s, when he sold the rights to have it be made into a movie series, he met this guy, Harry Saltzman. That's who he sold it to. Harry Saltzman could not get enough money to get the movies made. So Saltzman met with this other guy named Albert R. Broccoli. Yes. And the two of them together founded Eon Productions. Eon Productions is the production company that has made all of the James Bond movies. They have not made any, like, they've made a couple other movies, but they've basically made nothing but James Bond movies for 60 years now.
Well, I mean, if you're good for a given value of good at one thing, you're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. Originally, they wanted to do Thunderball, but there were some legal issues. That was the book that had just come out when they were trying to make the movie. So they decided on doing Dr. No. And so now we're going to watch Dr. No.
So this is the last time I can ever in my life say that I have never seen a James Bond movie.
I'm so excited.
I know. I'm pretty excited too.
Yay.
Yay.
All right.
We'll see y'all on the other side.
It's such a sunny day, such a sunny day, such a sunny day to waste away.
All right, we are back.
Holy moly, me oh my. Hey, how many Bond movies have they made? Officially, how many official Bond movies have they made?
Good question. I sometimes forget how many there are because there have been so freaking many. Okay, let's see here. 24, 25. They made 25 of these damn things.
They made 25 movies off of the back of that?
Yeah.
Wow. Man, but they just make anything, wouldn't they? Like, if you made that movie today and pitched it and were like, we're going to have a decade-spanning IP and 25 movies off of the back of this, you would be laughed out of the studio.
So you didn't like it, is what I'm hearing.
Okay, here's the thing. It's very 1962.
Yeah.
Like, it's slow.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot to it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what I would expect from what you would say, like, a capital B Bond movie.
Oh, yeah. No. It's definitely not.
Because, like now you say, oh, I'm going to watch a Bond movie, and you expect, like, you know, there were a couple of car chases and, like, some minor fights, but, like, it's not like anybody was, like, doing, like, complicated fight choreography.
No, and, like, there weren't, like, cool gadgets.
Yeah, there were no gadgets.
Like, it's, you know, it was missing a lot of what you would, like, later consider to be, like, big James Bond staples.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, what you did have is you had the Walter PPK, you know, you get the gun, you get the Aston, I think it's the Aston Martin, right? It's the car.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
It's a fancy car.
I don't know car breeds, but yeah, it's the same shape as the ones that I'm familiar with.
And you get, you know, the introduction of the Bond girl and the, you know.
various hot ladies that he wants to make love at.
Yeah.
You know he does not give it one single solitary shit if they're also enjoying themselves.
I told you while we were watching it.
I'm sorry. I'm calling this right now. In this, I don't know about future movies. In this particular movie, James Bond did not make one single woman come at all. There was some serious acting going on in between those sheets.
I think that golf lady at the beginning was probably into it.
She was enjoying herself if she had an orgasm, however. She was excited about the prospect of this mysterious stranger, which also, like, okay.
Sure.
Sorry, just my minor tangent as, hello, dear listener, heads up, this is going to be happening a lot. When I was, like, young and reading and you, like, read the phrase, like, tall, dark, and handsome, I always pictured, I don't know, someone, like, of a darker complexion. And now, like, I know that when people said tall, dark, and handsome, they just meant, like, Sean Connery.
They meant Sean Connery.
Like, they meant a white guy with brown hair.
Yeah. Well, and also, you know, he was kind of swarthy a little bit for, you know, like, obviously he's Scottish, but, like, he had a tan.
Yeah,
like,
he could tan.
Yeah, like...
Which is why he then later got to play an Egyptian guy in the other cultural touch point I have for him, Highlander.
Yeah. Well, so, okay, I will say, so talking about the casting of Bond, you know who they originally wanted?
Who?
They wanted Cary Grant.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know...
Is Cary Grant? I thought Cary Grant was American. Is he English?
No, I actually don't remember.
That kind of makes...
No, he's American.
Okay,
yeah.
That kind of makes sense. Because, like, you know...
Oh, he's English and American. He was born in England, but he lived most of his life in America, so he could do both.
Tricksy English people.
Shut up.
Always trying to sneak into America. Steal our acting jobs.
Yes, that's what's happening.
And then it follows Idris Elba.
Yeah. You know, they wanted Cary Grant, but Cary Grant only wanted to sign for one movie, and they wanted to do a series. They were like,
sure, there are so many books we can mine for material.
So they tried a bunch of different...
And I promise they're only going to get better from here.
They're going to get better for a while, and then they're going to get worse, and then they're going to get better, and then they're going to get worse again. It kind of goes up and down, honestly.
Peaks and valleys. I'm excited.
They tried out a bunch of different actors, including Roger Moore, who will be a later James Bond.
Yeah.
They tried him out, and they liked him, but they thought he was too young at the time. Good timing on that. There was even a contest where this, like, American model, I think, won, but they didn't think he was a good actor, so he didn't get the part.
Well, yeah, sure. You can't just be a pretty face. Like, you also have to be able to act.
But eventually they decided on Sean Connery, and they weren't really sure about him, but apparently Albert Broccoli's wife, the one producer, was like, yeah, he's really sexy. You gotta pick him. And
standards were different in 1962.
Hey, my Aunt Maxine would say, you asked her who the hottest guy of all time was, she would have said Sean Connery.
Look, I'm not saying he looks bad. He is he's a well put together man.
Yeah.
It's just not my aesthetic, and, like, not necessarily aesthetic that we would today consider to be like leading actor material.
He's very, like, gravelly. He's very, like, you know, apparently Ian Fleming didn't like him for the part initially. He was like, I want, like, a British commander. I don't want this, like, 6'2" muscular Scotsman. This is fucking weird.
I will say I do kind of appreciate that, like, especially today with, like, you know, the male beauty standards that we have for actors, where it's all, like, massive muscles and super rippling, and, like, they clearly have not had a sip of water in 3 days to, like, get this ab shot. Like, that's not, I don't appreciate that at all. But, like, he looks like a guy who works.
He's in good shape. He's muscular, but he's not like shredded. Yeah,
he's lean, but, like, you know, he can throw a punch, but, like, yeah, he's not in the gym for 6 hours, 7 days a week.
As with future James Bond films, the critical response was, you know, people liked it well enough, but it was very popular.
Yeah.
That would be the way to put it. Like, response, like, critics were like, it's okay, it's fine, you know, some people didn't really know how to take it, but it was very, very popular.
Well, like, you know, it's not super complicated, so it's, like, pretty easy for an average, like, audience goer to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
There's not a whole bunch of, like, complex, like, names you have to remember, or, like, there's not a whole bunch of, like, scene changes, and I will say it's simplified to the fact that, like, hey, what the fuck was Dr. No's actual plan?
So
he was doing something with nuclear power to stop missiles.
He's working for Spectre,
yeah,
who is this international organization. By the way, do you remember the acronym? Because it's the dumbest acronym of all time. It was the special something for
Special Protectorate,
counterintelligence.
yeah.
Revenge and extortion. It's just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, someone really wanted to make that acronym work, and boy did they try. Again, it's not bad. And if this is your favorite Bond movie, I would ask you why, but I'm not gonna like tell you you're wrong.
So personally, one thing I want to do is I want to make a list as I watch of my favorites.
Sure.
Like 1 to 25, like just rank them.
Just rank them.
And I'm telling you right now that my guess is that this one's going to be right in the middle.
Yeah.
That it's fun.
Like lower middle probably, because I know that there's some nonsense
there are
bullshit
some
that happens later.
real trash coming up, bud. Like it's going to get real bad.
Which one is the Bond that they made dress like a clown at one point? Because I just have I have a shot
at least once.
I have a shot in my head of like one of the Bonds dressing like a sad clown, and that being like the screen or like the screenshot that people use when they talk about like the bad Bond movies.
I am like 100% sure that's a Roger Moore movie, but I don't remember which one.
That sounds about right.
I feel like a really bad fan right now.
It's fine. We'll get there.
Yeah. And that's, I will say, Dr. No is generally considered so I'm going to tell you what people who like Bond think of it.
Sure.
Dr. No is typically considered one of the better, but not the best. It's considered like a second-tier Bond.
Oh, no.
I actually think it's less than that, personally. I actually don't think it's even that good.
Well, I mean, like, I would hope at least that some of that is people being like, yeah, because it's like the start, like it's the solidification, it's the establishment of a lot of the Bond tropes.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking, we should do in future episodes, we should talk about some of like the classic spy and like movie shit that they do. Like, he crawled through the vents. There was a couple of sexy ladies that he talked to. He had to like
he had to just dead stop.
No, he knocked that guy out and stole his clothes.
He did.
That was my third. That was
that.
my third example. I do appreciate the scene when he first gets into the hotel and he's doing all of like the spy shit.
Yeah.
I like when later when he was at that white lady pretending to be a Chinese lady's house. I liked when he was there and he was like setting stuff up. I appreciate when movies show us the setup.
Yeah.
It kind of irks me a little bit when they try and build the tension by making it look like someone is about to be in trouble, but then haha, it turns out I knew you were going to be here, so I set stuff up before you got here. Like the showing of the setup, putting like the pillows underneath the bed and putting the wine out to make it look like they had had a couple of glasses of alcohol and they were probably like drunk and asleep.
Yeah.
I appreciate that they did that setup stuff.
I think that was kind of the director, this Terrence Young, who ends up he directs 2 more after this one. He directs the next one, and then he directs 2 later. He does not direct Goldfinger, but he directs Thunderball, which is the one after Goldfinger. Terrence Young, I think he really likes those kinds of scenes. He likes that spy setup. It's very, I hesitate to use the word, but realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean, yeah, we like to think of spies as doing all sorts of daring do, Daniel Craig James Bond movies.
Yeah.
But a lot of spy shit is actually sitting around in hotel rooms, listening to wiretaps and putting hairs on doors to make sure that no one has come through them.
I think the pace is a little slow, but
yes,
because we were talking about it while we were watching, in my memory, because it's been years since I've watched this one, they go to the island half an hour into the movie, but that's an hour and 10 minutes in the movie.
How long was this movie? Because I'm not gonna lie, it felt like we were sitting here for 3 days.
It's 109 minutes, so it's a little under 2 hours.
That's not right.
I know, it seems way longer than that.
That's incorrect.
Yeah. So overall, not bad. I enjoyed it.
But, I am 100% sure that there are a lot of people who have done lots of very smart talking about, the racial politics of the early Bond movies.
Oh, yeah.
And I am absolutely not the person to talk about that.
Sure.
But hey, it's real gross that they had a bunch of white people pretending to be East Asian people to the point where, I couldn't tell. I was like, is this person supposed to be Chinese? Extreme question mark?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, too. That, it seemed like, they let a lot of what seems like local, like, Jamaican, Caribbean Islander people, like...
Perhaps some people just there on vacation at the
well,
airport.
that too, but, like, it seems like a lot of those people could plausibly have been, but there were several yellow-faced white actors, and it seems really odd to me that you would be fine with just having all these Caribbean actors, but no Asian people.
Well, like Sister Lily and Sister Rose,
they are.
They are.
A lot of the henchmen
Sure.
were too.
But, like, if James Bond is going to kiss a lady, the actress has to be a white lady. Is what it feels like.
Ooh, you might not be wrong, but I sure hope you are. It doesn't feel great.
Again, I'll probably at some point be looking into some sort of video essays or whatever about like the politics of Bond girls and yellowface in early Bond movies.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit as we go. A couple of points to wrap up on just a little bit. We talked about Sean Connery, a couple of the other actors. Jack Lord plays Felix Leiter. Jack Lord was on the popular show Hawaii Five-0 for a long time.
Oh, dang, nice.
That's kind of where he's probably more known for. Felix Leiter is a recurring character in the series.
Sure.
But he's played by different actors a lot.
Yeah.
He's the American counterpart to Bond.
Kind of goes with the whole theory that, like, the name is the name, and then there are different people who take the name.
We will also talk about that at some point where we get into it. Ursula Andress, she played Honey Rider. Well, actually, that's kind of funny. She kind of didn't actually play Honey Rider. She was doing the physical acting and emotional, and she was up there on screen.
Someone completely
but they
overdub her.
completely dubbed her voice over because she was Swiss and had a really thick accent.
When she was talking, I was kind of looking at her. I'm like, "Where's that accent from?" Like, that's a little like it's Middle Europe somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
so they got another actress, a German actress named Nikki van der Zyl, to basically dub over her voice. Apparently, she dubs several people throughout the James Bond films. I'm looking at it here. She's in like 12 of them. And she's just like dubbing over actresses, It's good for
left,
her.
right, and center.
It's good work if you can get it.
Absolutely.
So, heck, yeah, great for them. Dr. No was played by Joseph Wiseman.
Yeah.
He was a pretty well-known, like, Canadian-American actor back in those days. He was in a lot of, like, crime movies, like a lot of, like, detective sort of stuff. That was kind of his big thing back in the day. Like, he was in Detective Story, and he was in, some of that kind of stuff. He did some historical movies, too.
Sorry, I'm looking at his IMDb, and, like, the third thing is Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Was he in Buck Rogers?
King Draco.
I am sorry, what?
1979, my dude.
Oh, yeah, I totally was. Look at that. Okay, well, fuck me, I guess. Jeez. Yeah, and he was on a bunch of TV shows and stuff, too, yeah. Obviously, pretending to be a Chinese guy, not great.
Not great. We don't love that.
But, it was a different time.
Not that that's like an excuse.
No.
Like, they shouldn't have done that. It was also wrong then.
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah.
Don't.
I
don't.
I guess what I'm saying is I don't blame him for that.
Yeah, sure, there was like the institution. Like, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, you could just you throw your hands up and be like, oh, it was just the way it was. It was just the institution. It was just all of that. But, like, also, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't begrudge the actor, especially back in those days, for taking the work. But at the same time, yeah, no, that sucked. He also went to the same high school as Jack Lord, who played Felix Leiter. So that was kind of fun.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're both from New York City. Marguerite Loirs. She was the photography lady, if you remember her.
Yeah, from the plotline that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
She, like, showed up at the airport and took a picture of Bond. And then later in a nightclub, she took another picture of Bond. And you're like, oh, is she, like, being employed by Dr. No or, like, Spectre or some other thing? No.
Not really.
No.
If she is, it's not in any way explained. It just sort of just happens.
She apparently just works for the newspaper and just takes pictures of people who come to the island.
Yeah. Or maybe doesn't.
Yeah. Who can say?
But one thing that's kind of neat is that she was Miss Jamaica in 1960s, and she competed in Miss Universe, so like I think that's kind of just why she was in the movie. I think they just sort of wanted her to as like a celebrity cameo kind of thing.
So I'm looking at the IMDb page for Lois Maxwell, who is Miss Moneypenny, and she was Miss Moneypenny all the way up through the 80s.
Oh yeah,
the last one was like 85 that she did.
She is going to be in like every movie going forward for a while. Yeah, she's awesome.
How the deep fried fuck did they get away with naming a movie Octopussy?
Hannah, we haven't even gotten there yet.
What?
Yeah. And you know what sucks about that?
What?
That was a Fleming. He named the story that.
Of course.
It wasn't like some of the later ones where they just kind of made up a title. That was him.
Yeah, A View to a Kill. What the fuck are you talking about?
First of all, the worst name and perhaps the worst movie. We'll get there.
I'm excited.
Yes, I'm sure you will. The guy who played Quarrel, I do really want to mention him real fast because he's actually a super interesting guy. John Kitzmiller.
I was so sad when he just got fried by that quote extreme unquote dragon. Yeah. We need to talk about this dragon.
We need to talk about the dragon.
Let's talk about Quarrel.
Let's talk about John Kitzmiller here. Cool guy, American, but he also he mostly did his work in Europe. He was the first black actor to win the Cannes Film Festival Best Actor Award.
Oh fuck, what movie?
For his role in Valley of Peace, which is a like a Yugoslavian film.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dip. Nice.
Yeah. Really interesting, good actor. Unfortunately died kind of young. But he did a lot of cool stuff.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dragon.
Dragon. Okay, here's one of the things that like kind of annoyed me, and this isn't like a wholly formed thought, but like I don't know a whole lot about the economic and cultural landscape of Jamaica in the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to imagine that the average Jamaican knows what the fuck a car is. So, like, I can't for the life of me bring myself to believe that this man saw this goddamn tank
and thought it was an actual
drag. Like, that very much feels like a little bit of like British, these like inferior islanders don't know what anything is. They'll believe any superstition.
Although even even
Honey
Ryder,
lady.
even she believed it.
Yeah, but she also seems kind of dumb. She didn't go to real school. She read a dictionary and got up to what is she up the T's? Was that what they were talking about?
Oh, she got an encyclopedia.
Yeah, and made it up to
the T's.
Yeah,
I know more than you. Sure you do.
Sure you do.
I love the dragon.
I do love the dragon. I will say though, they kept talking about this dragon, and I thought it was going to be some like cool like paper mache like parade float kind of thing. Nope, it's just a tank. It's just a tank with what looks more like a shark face on it, and then it breathes fire, and that's how Quarrel died. And I'm mad about that. I liked him.
Especially because it happened sort of out of nowhere. He's just sort of standing there and then just burned to death.
Yeah, it's like the most like annoying setup because they're like, oh, we have to hide behind these bushes. And then Quarrel is like, oh, you two stay here. I'm going to hide behind those other bushes. And they're like, you only did that so you could kill him and not the two other people.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Kind of a bummer, but... Every single time they build that up, like, oh, it's a dragon, it's a dragon, and then you see it, and it's just like, this is it.
If you've not,
it's like a Venture Brothers bit. It really is.
Yeah. If you've not seen Dr. No, I needed a picture like a tank, and then imagine you let like a third grader draw a shark face on it. That's what it looks like.
Pretty much is exactly like that.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Just some historical context for the movie. We talked about this a little bit. When they made the movie, Jamaica was part of the British Empire. By the time the movie came out, Jamaica was independent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Jamaica was independent in August of 1962, and the movie came out in October of 1962.
Hey, not to harp on this again, but like genuinely what the fuck was Dr. No's plan? Like, it's not like we didn't see him on screen contact anybody for like ransom or whatever.
All right.
Is he just Joker causing chaos?
Here's the plot synopsis. He works for Spectre. Spectre is an international criminal organization.
Sure.
He's basically built this like undersea nuclear facility base to provide enough energy to his like radio thing to fuck up the Americans' rockets. That's essentially what he's doing.
Why?
Because he works for Spectre and they're criminals.
Oh, so there's not any. It's not any
deeper than that. It's really not.
It's not like, I was hired by Spectre because some other guy is mad at the Americans because of X reason. It's just I'm causing chaos on purpose.
My understanding is in the book he's working explicitly for the Soviet Union, but in the movie they wanted it to be like, I hate both of them equally. I'm my own.
Oh yeah, I'm not working for the East or the West.
Yeah. That was just kind of what they did with that. It doesn't really make it any better. Yeah.
They probably didn't want to explicitly say the bit about communists. Was the Hays Code still in effect at this point? Or
good question. Don't know.
Were we? Was this House Un-American committee time?
I mean, yes, that was happening, but I really don't think this has anything to do with it.
No. I'm just saying, no. I guess if it was, then they would have been fine more explicitly saying, like, I'm working for the communists.
Yeah, hell with you. We're gonna kick your ass, commies.
Them commies are gonna come get you. Oh no, we've been foiled. Our communist plans.
We all equally share in the failure. Well,
our failure.
Yeah, our failure.
Oh, also, okay, really quickly, I want to make it clear that I understand, Dr. No's plan in the, he was going to, he was getting paid to disrupt a missile thing, right? I don't understand where the fuck the nuclear energy comes in. Why was that part necessary?
Oh,
but it's not a movie that's going to throw a bunch of science jargon at you. I think that's one of a more modern convention of we have to stop the nanobots before they destroy the nuclear blasts or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just no, it's radiation. Don't worry about it. It makes a lot of power. It does big thing.
I think the idea was that the satellite or the laser thing that made the rockets go off course needed a lot of power.
Yeah.
So they needed a nuclear reactor to do it.
It wasn't even a laser, it was a radio signal.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't
it doesn't matter.
It could literally be
anything.
2 cans tied to a string. It doesn't matter.
We got the lost statue of Shakma, and we're going to power it with a nuclear bomb, and that's going to make the missile go off course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
We did it. Great job.
Congratulations, high fives all around. Well, high fives weren't invented in 1962 yet, were they?
What a fucking weird question. Hang on. When was the high five invented? 1977?
Hey!
Whoa! There were still 15 years before the high five was invented?
Welcome to our history podcast.
Wow! What a weird thing.
Helping you learn the wildest and most useless facts.
Baseball players.
Hey, did you know that there actually is a word that legitimately rhymes with orange? It's sporange, which is the spore-holding sacs that are underneath a mushroom. Congratulations. Wow, you're friends.
Okay, then. Anyway, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this time.
Oh boy, we have 24 more of these movies.
Sure do. And the next one is From Russia with Love, which is...
more explicitly about...
Yes.
Yeah.
More explicitly in there about that. And now that James Bond is a success, this movie is bigger budget, more successful even, and it's another one that people tend to think is a better one. But we'll just have to see what you think next time.
Hey, real quick, when does Q, when does Q show up?
Q actually, I think, shows up in the next one, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool, I'm excited for some gadgets.
Yeah, he comes pretty early. If he's not in the next one, he's in Goldfinger for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very early on. I will say, From Russia with Love is the James Bond movie I have seen only once, so it'll be interesting for me to see.
You've seen this one more than once?
I have seen Dr. No
today?
A couple of times, yeah.
Okay.
I watched it once on purpose, and then they used to do the 007 Days of Christmas marathon on television. So around Christmas, they would just show all of the James Bond. Are you okay, Hannah?
No, I'm just thinking about the differences between the marathons that we watched growing up. Because for me, it was always the Twilight marathon for around Christmas time.
Oh, no,
Any of the holidays, it was always Twilight Zone.
It was Twilight Zone Thanksgiving. It was 007 Days of Christmas. And then, there was one around July 4th, too, that I don't remember.
Oh, man.
All right.
Oh, man. Oh, geez. Oh,
Better,
man. Oh,
better,
geez.
better. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find us at mythingyourthing.com or at mythingyourthingpod on social media. Thanks to RK Maroon for letting us use their song Macaroni Art from the EP You Can't Eat Horses. You can get it at rkmaroon.bandcamp.com. If you have a thing you think we should talk about, email us at mythingyourthingpod@gmail.com, and maybe that could be our thing.